Do or not do, there is no try. What is up, champions? Welcome to another episode of Champion Reads, and may I say a very special episode. I am your host, Willie. I have my co-host, Mr. Ian Sturmer, as well as the founder of Champion Circle, Mr. John Kovacs Jr. Today is episode 100! Woo! It has been 100 episodes of us doing Champion Reads, of us going over best-selling books by best-selling authors to help you out with your best life. And today is a special one because, let's be honest, we've gone through a lot of books. Actually, 23 in fact, not including our Beyond bestsellers or any of the awesome tidbits that we add. 23 books. That's crazy. If you have followed us through this journey, that means you've been with us for about 2 years because we do a book a month. So congrats on being with us. And those who are joining us more recently, welcome to episode 100. Today we are going to get a little spicy. We're going to get a little rotten because what we're going to do, we're going to get the number generator from the wonderful Google. And out of those 23 books, I'm going to click a button over here that leads to a number on a screen which shows a book that we've covered in the past. And what we are going to do is our own version of Rotten Tomatoes. As I say the book, we'll give our opinions on it, rate it from 1 to 10, and just really see what we think as people who read a lot of books. And even though we highly recommend books, do they actually come highly recommended? Who knows? But before I even jump into that, John, Ian, tell me your feelings about this 100th episode.
Well, I can't wait. I'm excited to, provide some honest feedback for once. Jeez, guys, come on. And
so structured.
We're waiting to hear some honesty.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this show is all about honesty and all about opinions, and that's why you listen to us. We're just here to share our thoughts. We don't always review a book. In fact, I don't remember the last time we have reviewed a book. We just kind of pick principles and dive into them and talk about why we love them. But this is a great opportunity for us to just express and have some fun and kick back. I've already got my coffee. I've got my feet kicked up. I'm just excited for this. I was a little too excited. I wanted to do an official, how the gymnast judges will put up a number at the end of that performance. I was getting ready for that, but we'll keep it simple today, and looking forward to this. And congratulations to both of you. What an awesome accomplishment of 100 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to all of us. I love this because we talk about these books and the principles, and since we started, my whole way of looking at books has changed. And I realized that some of the books we read didn't do as much for me as I thought they did when I first read them. And how I read books has changed. What I look for in my favorite books before are not my favorite books anymore. And ones that I didn't really get before, now I'm really enjoying. So I guess I've learned and grown from grown and groaned, I guess, depending on what happened with it.
Oh, it's been 2 years. All of us have grown the last 2 years. All of us are very interniched in each other. We see each other at least once a week, if not twice a week.
Yeah.
And we ourselves have seen each other grow. It's just been a freaking fantastic journey.
Yeah. Well, hey, all of us have grown except for Willie, who has actually shrunk. So
That's
kudos to Willie on the weight loss there.
Thank you. Goodness gracious. Y'all gonna make me blush before we even get into it. You're gonna make me look like a rotten tomato. On that note, we're gonna jump right into our first book. So I'm gonna come over here on my awesome other screen, hit generate, and we're going to book number 9, which is The Miracle Morning by Hal
Ooh.
Elrod. Now, I remember this I believe it was John who recommended this book first. So I actually want to throw it to him to give us his review, his Rotten Tomatoes score on this book first.
Oh, I'd love to. This is one of my all-time favorite books. In fact, this book in theory truly changed the way I think about things. And those are my favorite books. I truly love a good story, a great application, and then I don't just like the here are the numbers and what they do for you. I'm all about like try it for yourself. So since reading this book, and I think what's funny, I introduced the book to the podcast, but Willie, I'm pretty sure you're the one who introduced this book to me. This was a book that you suggested, and yeah, it's quickly become one of my all-time favorites. I think that Hal Elrod's a great author. He's up there with Brendan Burchard and creating habits amongst people. And I'll keep my comment short because we got 23 books to get through today. So one of my favorites, I've even like purchased they have a Miracle Morning app. It's like $60 for the year or something like that, and it sends you videos. And anyways, I've incorporated my own ritual-based Miracle Morning habits every single morning, and it's a good old life changer. But on the scale of opinion, affectability, and great books, I give it a solid 8.0.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to jump in and say that I'm a little sad this is the first book that came out in our randomizer, because this is the book that more than anyone actually did change my life. This is the one that made a difference to me, and I incorporated about 5% of this book into my life. And I need to go back and do the rest. But since reading this book, I used to like struggle to get up in the morning, and there was like just a light bulb went off in my head that said I should be excited to get up in the morning. Now, I've only incorporated like 5%, maybe 10%, so I don't jump out of bed. But I now take a moment laying in bed to contemplate, meditate, prepare for the day, and that has made just an enormous impact on me. I need to go back and reread this book and start putting some of those other things into there, like really need to do some morning exercises as well. But it has literally changed my life so much for the better, because I honestly have never struggled to get out of bed since I read this book, with the exception of like when I had a 5 a.m. flight and had to wake up at 3 in the morning, but on a normal day. So I am going to put this at I guess we should never give anything a perfect score because I haven't implemented anything, but I've got to beat John here, and I'm going to put it at a 9.0.
Ooh.
Because this changed my life, period.
That's good. You know, you I'll tell you my score of what it was going to be. Now, then I'll tell you why. So I was going to give this a 4 out of 10. A 4.0, because I didn't remember much from this book. But as you jogged my memory, things started coming up, and I'm reminded of things that I've applied, that even though the book's away, the principles are still in my life. So with that being said, because of the remembrance in that, I'm going to up it to a 6. Still lower, but I'll up it to a 6. So with that 6, 8, and 9, what does that come to? About 25. 25 points for the book Miracle Morning. So that's a good threshold to start. 25. We're most likely not going to go over all the books, but we're going to go over as much as we can. So 25 points, Miracle Morning. Boom, there we go. I got a little post-it note chilling over here.
While we were chatting, I did create a spreadsheet, and I've got the total and I've got the averages. So I got us on lock, and it's 23. I'm good at math, and let's go. Next book.
Okay, Overachiever John.
Awesome. Okay, next book is Bada Bing, Bada Boom. We are going to the book. Ooh, interesting. Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I'm going to go out on the first one here. I swear all my scores won't be low. And I'm giving this one a 4.5 on the Rotten Tomatoes rating because I liked the concept of the story of building a brand based off of your story. And I've applied a few things to it. That also being said is that there wasn't as much value from the hype up before I read it that got applied to the book. So I'm going to blame the hype up before the book and then reading the book that brought it down. It is a good book, but I'm going to sit at 4.5.
I'll jump in there and I'll lead with the score and explain why. I'm going to give it a 6.0. And the reason for that is I graduated with a degree in communications, and this was a fantastic book. I would have highly recommended it as a textbook in my communications and English classes because we did a lot of public relations courses, marketing courses, and journalism courses. And this would have been by far 100 times better than any one of my textbooks, but it does fall into the realm as one of my textbooks because I can tell you what, I think we did 3 or 4 episodes of how to build a story brand. And I can't tell you how many times we just had to reiterate the point of here's how you build a story and you run with it. And I love that stuff. It's super, super powerful, very effective. It's really going to help your business. And they have so many programs built off of their business, the Story Brand guys. I really like them. It's not my favorite book because of the textbook feel to it, but I really appreciate the effectiveness. So solid 6.0 for me.
I've been debating where to put it there, and I hate to give a low score to something, but I'm going to put it as a 4.5 because the title is great, and I remember the title and the importance of it, and it makes me think about putting stories into what we're doing, and I cannot remember a single example or thing from that book. So I probably should reread it, and I'll gain something from it, but the content of the book did not stick in my mind. The concept of the book was great, and I'm sure he explained it well, but I don't remember the contents of that book. So, yeah, 4.5.
There you go. And John, if my math is right this time, that should come out to about 15.
You're exactly right.
Cool. Got a good 1 for 2 for me today. Awesome.
You're good. I'll be the fact checker on math, but we're at an average of 5 points for that book. So not a bad book, guys. Go read it.
Yeah, not a bad book. Hitting a good number. Okay. Next book, as I hit this wonderful button, is 16, which is I know some opinions on this one. Mindset by Carol Dweck. I'm actually going to throw it to Ian first on this one to give his rating.
Yeah. Okay. I loved this book, and I know that I used the term mindset incorrectly based on this book, but this is one that's intellectually and emotionally really hit me. And I have applied so many principles from this. So, I don't want to quite match it up to the Miracle Morning because that one changed my life the most, but this is a close second. So I'm going to go an 8.5 because just that concept of growth mindset versus static mindsets has come up so much in my life and my conversations and my work that it's been a incredibly valuable resource to me. So 8.5. If we hadn't done the Miracle Morning first, I probably would have given her a 9. Then I'd have to give that a 9.5. But I'm going to go an 8.8. How's that? 8.8. I'm going to up it a little bit.
Okay.
There you go. 8.8. For myself, I'm going to give it a solid 7.0 for mine.
Wow, that's pretty
Uh,
high for you, Willie.
It is pretty high, especially the last two. It was a great book. I loved reading. I loved the mindset topic and everything that went into it. There was still not as many applications. If you don't know already, I'm an application type guy. I love to have whatever the lesson is fit into my life in some way to take immediate action on it. So there wasn't as much as I want in there. However, it was a really good read, really helped me shift my mind on certain things that really did help push me forward and do a few things that just weren't there before. So I am going to give it a solid 7.0.
Awesome. And that brings it to me. This is one of my all-time favorite books, and I'm so glad we've read it and reviewed it and shared with it with our listeners on the podcast. This is one of the first books I've read in the personal development realm, and I rate her, Carol Dweck, up there with the Seth Godins and the Malcolm Gladwells. I think her writing style is incredible. I think they've done a great job of orating the importance of our brain and where we lie. And I had a lot of synergies between this and Outliers for sure, because of the scientific backing and the anecdotal evidence of accomplishment. So I'm going to give this a whopping rate of an 8.5. Fantastic book. It's high on my list. It's up there with Think and Grow Rich, and I highly recommend it.
Sweet. I'm done calculating. John, what does that put it to?
This puts us at a 24.3 and an 8.1 average. It's officially our highest scored book so far.
Highest scoring book so far. There we go. Okay, let's jump right into the next one of nope, we just did that one. This doesn't seem random anymore. We got this. Okay. We've only done 3 books and we've hit all 3 books so far. Okay, the next one is book 22, which is recent one that we read, How I Built This by Guy Raz. I'll start this out. Yeah, it was a good book. I'm gonna have to put it at a 3 though. 3.5. We'll go 3.5. Great. It was good, a good read, but I don't remember much from it. I don't remember taking it away. I remember during the episodes we talked about it, I had a hard time finding the certain principles and kind of what to go off of it. So with that being said, 3.5 for How I Built This.
I'll jump in next. Similar to you, Willie, when they say, don't go see the movie because the book's amazing. Guy Raz is in my opinion, one of the greatest podcasters of all time. He is phenomenal, and his show, How I Built This, has built my mindset around the attitude and the exceptional, positive journey as an entrepreneur. I have sunk and I have kept afloat so many businesses because of Guy, and he's incredible. And so when you take, 200 plus episodes of one of the greatest NPR podcasts, and then you turn it into a book, I feel like you don't go see the movie, and I give it a solid 3.5 as well. I freaking love you, Guy Raz, and I will take you to dinner, one of the nicest restaurants in New York City one day. But I was not a huge fan of the book. However, because of the symbolism and the amazing background that your book is, and how shiny your book is, literally like a holographic Pokemon card. I love it. Your book will remain on my shelves for forever, and I will recommend it to other people. But today, in the scorecard, it runs at a 3.5, my lowest score yet.
Yeah. I think we're in some agreement on this one. It was a great, enjoyable read, and I love some of the stories in it. I love hearing those and reading them. But when I look back on this book, I think work hard at something, don't give up, and make sure you get funding. And I just heard funding through this whole book. And I guess when I'm ready to start my next entrepreneurial venture, I should probably pick it up. But I just didn't pull things out of it that were beneficial or practical, but it was enjoyable. I'm going to raise the average and give it a solid 4, because I think there's something in there for the right person, the right circumstance, and it wasn't me at this point. And I think it was just low on some of the real value that it could have given. I probably need to go back and listen to the podcast some and gain some from there. Well written,
Sure.
Great stories, but it didn't change my life at all.
What was your score again?
A 4.
4? Okay, got it.
Yep.
All right. Brings us
What
to
does
a
that put
total of 11 points and an average of 3.6.
There you go. There you go. Average of 3.6. Great book if you're looking for funding. Great book. Okay. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to hit the halftime show, which we got a very special thing for the halftime show. But for the 5th book we're jumping into, book number 13 is Jeffrey Gitomer's Little Red Book of Selling. John, I am going to throw this to you first.
You know, I've had the privilege, the pleasure, and the honor of meeting Jeff multiple times, and he does not disappoint. He is the king, the master of sales books. And I know that I've been pushing this group to read a lot of sales books in all of these groups. And you guys are like, John, stop at the sales book recommendations. We want other stuff. And I get it. And I think that Jeffrey Gitomer exceeds expectations. A lot of his books are amazing. They're well written. They're easy. They're humorous. They're also like in your face. Like you can hear the New York accent in his voice when he writes. And this book in particular is just an absolute classic. In pure honor and respect, I give him a solid 7.5. I love the application that sales books bring, and I also appreciate just the well-roundedness. I mean, there is no cutting to the chase when it comes to sales. You literally have to be cutthroat. You've got to learn. You've got to be willing to use the language, and he doesn't beat around the bush. It's Jeffrey Gitomer, guys. 7.5.
Ian, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah. I feel like I need 2 different scales, one for the books I really like and one for the ones I didn't like as much. I am a huge Jeffrey Gitomer fan. So thank you, John, for allowing me to have a chance to be on some Zoom calls with him and kind of hear him straight from his mouth. Love this book. I've got almost all of his books, if not all of them. I've got a shelf of about 12 of his books. Is all Little Red Book or Little Green Book and Little Yellow Book. I'm going to give it an 8 because there's so much information. It is like packed full of nothing but absolute practical advice. And I probably need to learn how to read this better. So, because I read the whole thing and I've reread most of his books several times, and there's so much there that I'm lost in it. I need to just open it up every morning, point to a page and learn that page that day. So maybe I need to put myself at a 4.5 as a reader of this book. But I'm going to give him an 8. He is probably the most, for sales, he is definitely the most recommended author I tell people about. There's so much there. I just struggle to incorporate this fire hose of knowledge and technique that he throws out there.
There you go. And for myself, I'm going to give Jeff a 7.5. It was a really great book. A lot of information, very elegant, and real, no fluff reading. And I've had the opportunity, there's less times than John, but to be able to listen to Jeff, and very to the point, very direct individual who stands by what he says, and incorporating all that in there, 7.5 for me.
That brings this book as a total of 23 points, a tie for second place, and an average of 7.6 on our rating scores. Great book.
Heck yes. All right, now we're going to enter the halftime show, where in the back room, John brought up this really cool idea of all these books we read. Where do we read them? Where do we listen to them? Where do we watch them? So the question is for all three of us to answer is where?
Yeah, what are your favorite resources? Like, where do you buy the books? Where do you download the books? Where do you get them? Like, what are those applications, websites, or resources that you highly recommend for potential readers out there? Because we got our systems down, but maybe listening today, some of our listeners don't have a clue where to start. So what resources would you highly recommend, and where do you get the books? Where do you like to read and listen to them? Whatever. I'll just jump in and start since I'm talking. First and foremost, for audiobooks, I am an Audible geek, but if you're anti-Amazon, which I'm becoming in a show full of ratings and opinions, if you want to find really cheap, and by cheap I mean free books, definitely go to Goodreads. Goodreads is one of my favorite apps. It's connected to your library card, so as long as you have a library card to one of your local libraries, you can go to Goodreads and you can find about 80% of the books that we're reading. The self-help section isn't as popular, but application, business, and all that, there's a lot of great stuff there, and it's a great place to listen. If you're a reader, I'm a big fan of Hoopla and Libby are two great apps that I like using. I do have one of those Remarkable devices, and I do download the ebooks, and then I take the ebooks and I transfer them to my Remarkable device rather than an Amazon Kindle device. But I hear they work pretty similarly and they're awesome. So I do like to read that. But stinking old me, I am I have an addiction to buying books. And because I spend so much money at Barnes & Noble, my wife was like, John, tap the brakes. Cause you got to read the books before you buy them. And I was like, no. I love books. So there's a fancy website that's owned by Amazon that I recommend. It's kind of what Amazon used to be, and it got shoved into a tiny little corner, and it's now called Thrift Books. And Thrift Books is where you can buy all the old, used, slightly used, and just in good condition books for a really, really good discount. And I love picking up my physical copies there. Sometimes they come with a weird crease or some highlights from one of the previous owners, but hey, a book's a book, man. You open that up and it's a gem. And those are some of my favorite resources that I've been working off of. And last but not least is there's a new app called Free Little Library. And you ever go to those neighborhood library kiosks where they have, books at exchange? Well, those are my addiction. And anytime I'm done with a book, I will go and I'll place them in there, and then I'll come back a few days later to see if someone's grabbed it. And right now, guys, I'm shooting at 100%. Every book I place in a little free library, it gone. Someone took it. Someone wants to read that. So that's my new little game, and I love these resources. But anyways, if you want to learn about any one of these resources, I'm sure we can put it in the show notes. But I'll pass it back over to you guys because I know these guys got resources, and I don't want to steal from them.
And that ends our halftime show for John taking all the resources that are out there. No, I'm going to double down on two of them. First one, Audible. I'm massive in Audible. Because of my dyslexia and me just auditorily doing better than paper reading, I love reading Audible books and listening to them. I turn my car into a library. I turn off the music, turn on an audiobook. Anywhere I drive, that's where I get to listen. And then the second one is something that John introduced me to, which is the free library little kiosks that are everywhere. Literally, 50 yards right out my door is a little kiosk that just the other day I was walking the dog and I was fingering through looking at all the different books, and it's really cool that people just drop off books at there and then pick them up. So I literally have a book sitting on my desk that every time I walk past it, I forget to grab it before I go walk the dog. So eventually this book sitting next to me will end up out there. But it's just another cool resource of just getting more books and reading them. And as you can tell, I have a lot of books that I love to gather. So paper books are great, and Audible. So those are my two.
Okay. Now I got to find something else. So
No,
for me,
more or less, it's your favorite. It's just what
Yeah.
resources you like to use.
So I have a love-hate relationship with Amazon. I think it's a horrible, big, evil corporation that provides so much benefit to me that I use it for everything in my life. I have the Amazon Kindle Scribe that I use, so I can download all the books, save them there. Allows me to listen to audiobooks on there as well as I want to, and I can make notes on it. So Kindle is great for me. I also have the Kindle membership, so I can borrow up to 10 books at a time for that low monthly subscription rate. So it's a great way to read those. Library apps, Libby is my go-to. Every book we have, first thing I do as soon as we talk about the book is go to Libby and put it in my waiting list. I'm listening to Libby all the time when I'm driving, and I drive a lot. So love that. Last one is there's a fine line between frugal and cheap, and I am way on the cheap side of that line. So Goodwill and Salvation Army, I stop by them all the time, and probably 3/4 to 80%, 90% of the books on my bookshelf I picked up at a thrift store. And that's where I get my physical copies that I listen to on Libby, and then buy the physical copy so it can be on my shelf and look pretty, and maybe go back and find something in it here and there. And great thing about buying books used, back in my college days, I would go to the textbook section and I would find the most highlighted, most notes written in the margins of the book, because then I didn't have to highlight it. I just read what somebody else highlighted. I read their notes, and I never had to read the textbook, and I got all the most important things. So there's a benefit to use books. So Libby, Kindle, and Salvation Army. Those are my secrets.
You know, Ian, I think I literally like cheered physically for the thrift books or just thrift stores, because I think a lot of my recommendations for the podcast came from a thrift store, because I found a book, I knew it was a good book, and I just grabbed it and I said, I want to read it. It's been on my shelf for a couple of years, but I should probably read that. So
Yeah.
very well done.
And I'll admit, last book I bought from Barnes and Nobles, because I was trying to find that one. I won't say what book it was, but it dealt with money management, and it cost me like $35 for this book. I'm going, when did books get that expensive? Because I'm used to $2.99 to $4.99 at the thrift store,
That's
or
right.
free off the library apps. So
That's right.
yeah, $35-$40 for a book on money management. If I could buy all those books, I wouldn't need a book on money management.
There you go. There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
All these resources we'll make sure to put in the description so that you have links as well as ideas. So when you are either maybe creating your own book club or Rotten Tomatoes list, or simply just reading to be able to improve your life as a champion, you'll be able to get those ideas and have them right in front of you. So thank you, John and Ian, for this halftime show. And we'll go right back to the book rating.
Well,
Awesome.
And I'll speed up my answers.
For this next part, we'll shorten up our explanation and kind of do more of a quicker speed round for these ones, because we got warmed up, we're getting in the mode of elegant words to use, and with that be able to go forward. So next book that we are hitting up is also a more recent one, 21, which is High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. Ian, I'm going to throw this actually to you first.
Okay. I know you guys love Brandon Bouchard. I'm going to say I didn't get a lot out of this book. I can't remember any of the habits off the top of my head. I don't remember saying I need to do that anywhere in this book. I hate to say it was forgettable to me because I hear his name so much from you guys, but I'm going to go with 3 for me because we read a lot of books and I don't remember reading this.
That's
So
fair. All right. I love Brandon Bouchard. I have his high performance planner somewhere. Yep. Boom. One of his planners. I use this pretty much daily. Some days I'll miss, but it's pretty much daily. And my favorite thing off of it is his priority 3, which is 3 things to do. And then everything else that day is a bonus. Get done what needs to move the needle in your life and make sure that it aligns with the habits and our values. So I'm going to rate this a whopping 8.0 on the scale. There is a book. I know there is a book that we are going to cover that is absolutely a 10 for me that I might just say 9.5 because there's always something better. But there is one for me for Brendan's book, which is an amazing book that I highly recommend, putting it at an 8.0.
I love this, and it's so funny, Ian. The tables have switched, and
Yeah.
Willie's about to give the highest score out of a book, and I give Brandon Bouchard and High Performance Habit a solid 7. Great book. It's a classic. It's gonna stand the test of time. But just like what Ian said, like it's hard to remember all the performance habits, which is why I wrote my own book called The Irrefutable Laws of High Performance, because you want a set list of skills that are tangible and applicable and rememberable. I mean, if I think of a Covey book, I can think of all the things. And so it was one of those things where it's such a good book, highly rated, highly recommended. Definitely pick it up. It's a good read. I mean, it's 400 pages long, but I give it an average high score of that because to Ian's point, rememberability. I don't know what I'm trying to say other than is it memorable? And there's some parts that are really detailed, really helpful. So there you go.
Now we need to review your book at some point, John.
Yes, we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there.
We won't do a Rotten Tomatoes on it though.
Yeah, please. I want the Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
I can book a 1 of 1.2.
Yeah.
John, what were we sitting at with the score on this one?
We got an 18 on this book and an average of 6.
There we go. Yes. Great book. Great book. Okay, next one. I can't tell for the audience, I can't tell you. I've hit generate and the Miracle Morning has popped up at least 4 times. And so I don't know how random this number generator is, but that seems like a probability for you statistic, awesome, smart individuals. Statistical improbability. But we keep moving forward. Awesome. Okay, book 18, The Linchpin by Seth Godin. I really do like this book. It brings a new perspective on standing out in the workplace and in what you're doing. It's about becoming the individual of not being dispensable, of applying yourself and learning and getting up there to such a degree that if you left, things would fall. Things would just fall apart, and it would be very hard, if not next to almost impossible, to fix it. So with that being said, man, I just hyped up that book a lot, but I'm going to throw it at a 6.5 for me. That's high for me. That's high for me. 6.5.
It is. Well, I'm going to jump in and say that the first, if it were the first 3 chapters of the book, I would probably rate it really high. And the concept is great. But after like chapter 3, I kind of got, we need to write more pages so the book looks better and bigger. And I kind of started glazing over after the rest of it. I'm going to give it a 5 because his concept, his idea is great. I learned from it. I grew from it. And then I could have skipped the rest of the book and gone to something else. And kind of like Never Eat Alone. Once you've read the title, then you don't necessarily need to read the rest of the book. Once I read the first couple chapters, I feel like I got it. I learned from it. I grew from it. But then it was done.
Oh man, I love the zingers. Okay, real quick, I rate this book a 7.5 because I rate the Malcolm Gladwells, the Seth Godins, the Carol Dwecks, the Ray Dalios. These are some of the most intellectual beings in our modern day, and their writing style will show it. I mean, they're definitely anecdotal. They're definitely based off of studies, and so you've got to be into the swing of reading through the different studies and the different scientific backings and then the stories. And Seth, of all those guys, talks the most about storytelling, and so I give him one of my highest ratings, a 7.5. Lynchpin is one of those books you should read when you're in like 5th grade. It will change your life and your perspective on how to be different. And I think everyone needs to read this in their younger years. So high rating. That brings us to a total of 19 and an average of 6.3. Congratulations, Seth.
There we go. All right. Next book we jump into is we got number 4. This is one of the first books that we jumped into. John, you're starting this one out because I know what I'm giving it, and you probably know a hint of what it is. It is Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil.
One of my all-time favorite books. And let me tell you why. Because you're asleep right now listening to this. You have no idea that you're drifting. And this book is an eye-opener, a game changer, an awakening to not only mindset, but its total application. It's not just a theory or a dream or a perspective, but this is one of my all-time favorites, and it inspires me. On top of that, it helps me feel like I'm in control, and mind control is the exact use and tool of the devil, and Outwitting the Devil is a 9.5 for me.
Ian, what's yours?
So I'm going to give it a 2. No, I'm just kidding. I want to see what John says when I did that. Our friendship's over. Yeah. No. So this was a great book. If I read this in the 1920s, I probably would have given this a 9.5. The challenge with this book is it came out so long after it was written, and so many things have happened since then that the groundbreaking principles in this book when it came out are not groundbreaking anymore. And I just had a conversation with a friend about Think and Grow Rich, about why that is so groundbreaking when everybody knows all that stuff now. That was kind of my Outwitting the Devil. I gained from it. The idea of the drifting is something that influenced me. I think back on it a lot. I love storybooks that have a storyline instead of example and theory and all of that. I'm going to give it, this is a tough one. I'm going to give it a 7. And only because I feel like I already knew so much of what was in there that I didn't necessarily gain a new insight, but I recognized that it was groundbreaking when he wrote it. So, and I applied a lot of things more than most. Okay, 7.5. I'm gonna up it just a little bit. So 7.5.
All right. And I'm going to kick Ian out of the room now. No.
Okay.
For those who know me, this is my all-time favorite book. And here's why. There's the first time I got introduced to it was through John. He showed me this book. I bought the book, started reading it. First part of the book of Napoleon Hill introducing everything, I could care less about. It was the whole story of it, and it's just fine. But when you get into the conversation between him and what he considered the devil, at that time, it was so groundbreaking for me and such a mindset shift that it blew my mind and literally made me rethink everything I believed in at that time. And there was this quote, which I'm sure John tried not to say the quote during his because he knew I would absolutely bring it up, which is be definite in everything you do and never leave unfinished thoughts in the mind. That quote alone is literally on my, don't want to see notifications, literally on my phone as a video. Be definite in everything you do and never leave unfinished thoughts in the mind, because that alone has pushed me further than anything else. So with how awesome it is in that, I feel like I'm the Simon Cowell of this, but he also has opinions. And so for the non-justice of it all, I am absolutely, weirdly enough, giving this a 10.
Oh, it's our first
Ooh.
10.
That's the golden buzzer thing.
Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it.
We haven't had one of those in a while.
I know. Y'all heard the truth bomb, which obviously comes from a 10. No, such a great book. Highly recommend it for individuals who want to change perspective and really understand a lot of, if you want to start moving forward in walking the path of what you believe rather than what other people believe, this is a good book to start with. Because one, it will shatter everything, but also helps to heal it so you can go forward. So highly recommended book. I got to stop talking about it because I just love it so much.
I know. I'm so glad you shared it. There's so much we could talk about each and every one of these books, but out of a total of 30 points, this is the highest rated book so far. It received a 27 and an average of 9. So great book. We highly recommend it. All right, next
Sorry
book.
to bring it down.
No, no apologies necessary. I love these ratings. These are fantastic.
Yeah, we'll just kick you out of the room.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
Okay, next book is 23, which is the book we just did recently. Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. I'll start off with this. This is a book I recommended. I got it from who knows where a couple of years ago and had it on my Audible. And as I was listening to it, we read so many mindset books on here and talk about perspective that this was a nice refresher when it came to the financial world. Of this went into practical application of setting up bank accounts, of putting 1% in, and that it's not about focusing on the expenses side, but just put a little bit towards profits. And so that from day one, your business will be profit. I thought this was a fantastic read. I'm going to give it an 8.0.
I'll jump in and quickly say, I agree with everything Willie said. For me, I've read so many sales, financial books, and so forth. I'm all about the application. Sort of a modern day version of Richest Guy in Babylon. Like the applications were very richest guy in Babylon. We should write that book. Richest man in Babylon is what I meant to say.
Richest dude in Babylon.
Yeah, we should write our own version of that. And again, out of the applications, those classics stand out more to me than this one, but this one was such an awesome book. I agree with Ian, where once I read the title and the first few pages, I was good. I was sold. I knew exactly what I needed to do. And that might be a pompous way of thinking as a business owner, but I'm giving it a solid 5.
There you
go. Oh, this is the only book that I have, after listening to it, gone out specifically to a real retail bookstore and spent way more money than I wanted to buy it. So those of you who have been listening to the entire episode might know what I'm talking about. Part of what John said is true. There was a absolute practical application that I did not know before, that I have gone and I have set up accounts at the bank that he recommended. And I'm in process of working through those and organizing those better. The middle 2/3 of the book, I kind of glazed over as I was listening to it. and then it came out with a great ending, it would be an incredible pamphlet to send out to say, go do this. If I'm going to review it as a literary piece, it was not quite as high. As a changing my life piece, it is quite high. So I'm gonna match Willie on this and give it an 8.0 because there is absolute things, Richest Man in Babylon is one of my favorite all-time books that has no practical advice, but it teaches me the ideas. This has all practical advice with a little bit of ideas, but 8.0 overall.
Awesome. And that brings us to a total of 21 points and an average of 7. Great job.
Nice. And John, just a quick question for you. Does that come to 8 books so far that we've been rating?
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve. That's 9
Okay.
in French.
Okay. Well, obviously we gotta round it out to a nice number 10. So the last one that we're gonna jump into before a final question that I have for everyone is number 20, which is Born Rich by Bob Proctor. I know we were kind of doing a whole little circle thing, and I totally starting, and I skipped over Ian. So Ian, I'm going to throw this to you for your rating first.
Okay. Well, if you didn't kick me out from the last Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, we'll see what happens here. Bob Proctor, nothing negative about him in any way, but he just doesn't resonate with me. Somehow his style, his way of looking at things, it just doesn't click for me. There's just a disconnect between his style and my style. So I don't want to say anything negative. There's good information, there's good stories, but it just didn't get into my heart the way some of these other books do. So honestly, I hate to do this because it's me, not him. Okay. It's that relation. It's me, it's not you. It's me that doesn't get it. But I'm going to go a 5 because I know there's great information in there, but it just didn't reach me.
Yeah, that sounded like a breakup. I was moved and touched by that.
It almost was, except we never got to the dating phase of it. It's like a blind date that's built up so much by your friends, and you get there and think, eh.
That's the best analogy ever.
I'll jump in, Willie, and just say I love Bob Proctor, and it is compared to the greats. He is one of the greats in a legend from the stage, from his teaching principles. He has completely changed how I look at everything, and he is a replica student of Think and Grow Rich. He has done more for Napoleon Hill's mission and his word than any other person on the earth, and he's passed away just a few years ago. But I will say, as a writer, us in the self-help realm, we feel like we have to write a book, and that becomes part of who we are. And he's written many books, and I rate his books at a good positive average, not below average. And so I'm going to give him a solid 6.5. This book was a great recommendation. Didn't quite meet my standards of favorites, but Bob, I love you. And your principles are everlasting. This book, I felt like I read a good 150-page book of something that someone felt like they had to produce because they needed something tangible to sell from stage. And I love it. I appreciate it. And I'll buy all your stuff. But 6.5.
And mine is kind of around that same logic of Bob is great. I love watching his videos. He makes me think. As a writer, not as much. And so with that, I'm going to give him a 5.5
Nice.
for his book.
I feel a little better now after. I was worried because I hear him so much. But yeah, the book wise, okay.
It was the dating analogy that was for me. That brings Bob
Okay.
Proctor's book to a total of 17 and an average of 5.6.
There you go. Okay. We've only gone through about half of the books that we went over. And the last question I want to ask as we go into these, as we wrap up this episode, is out of all the books we've done so far, if you were to rate one a 10 of 10, which one is your favorite book that we've done so far? Which one would it be?
Ooh.
And while I let you two think, obviously the one that I pick is going to be Outwitting the Devil. And it could be, books we've done and haven't done on this episode. Outwitting the Devil, one of my favorites. Be definite in everything you do and never leave unfinished thoughts in the mind. A quote that has changed my life, that changed who I was before and is continuing moving forward. Ideas that are just put me into a different mode and perspective on how the world works. And it breaks this veil of seeing forward. So that is my 10 out of 10 book. And if I were to be different and have like an honorary mention, I'd throw Alex Hormozy's $100 Million Offers in there as a close number 2. So, John, Ian, one of you two, which one's your favorite book that we've covered so far?
Yeah. Not listed in today's ratings, but clearly a fan favorite and a top rated book in our minds. I mean, we've done this book, I think 3 times now, if not twice. And any book we do twice, we know it's got incredible applications. It's just a fan favorite. It's Ian's style of favoritism where it's a storytelling book. And so, wow, why did it just slip my mind? Leadership and Self-Deception by the Harbinger Group. Such a classic, such a good book. Again, one I recommend you read at like an early age and then you repeat it every couple of years because just a fantastic book read. It makes you think differently. The whole time you're sitting in your chair and you're like, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he so stupid? Why can't he see it? But then when he gets it, you see it too. And that's something that doesn't happen a lot in books. And I love that about storytelling. Plus the applications are powerful and they help you treat people differently. You become a better leader just by reading the book, not just by its applications. And so that's one of my favorites. And then just an honorable mention, of course, Outwitting the Devil. But if I were to give another book a solid 10 just based off of, theory and idea, anything by Malcolm Gladwell. I mean, we're going to be reading Outliers, and that's going to be another one of those books where Ian's going to say, man, I was hooked for the first 3 chapters. And then after that, I was like, okay, I get it. These guys are special because they put the time into it, but we'll get there. I will have that conversation.
Yeah. We will, don't worry. So Willie and I were talking before going through our books, and I remember reviewing this book. And I remember where I was sitting talking about it, but we couldn't find it in our archives. So I think the number one book, the one that I would, without hesitation, put a number 10 on, and if we can't find it in our archives, we need to do this absolutely, is Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. That book has changed my life more than anything else. And I remember sitting at my old office talking about this book and going through it and saying, okay, we're going to do like 3 principles each time. So we need to find those videos. But if that is not there, the leadership and self-development or self-deception was top of mind for so long in my mind until I internalized some of those things and they no longer were as groundbreaking to me, which I guess means I learned from it. But I moved over to, if I had to put my top one, is the Miracle Morning, because the practical application, the recognition of my need for growth, as well as the changes I saw by implementing those things, had more of an effect on me than any other book. So I'm going to, if 7 Habits is not in our list, then I have to go with Miracle Morning.
There you go. Awesome. Champions, this wraps
We're going to
up
wrap now.
we just did the 100th episode. It's really great. And now we're ending the episode, and that's real great. I know I can't. No, champions, that ends this wonderful 100th episode. Thank you for being here. And for those who have watched us on this journey and have followed with us with this book club, we appreciate you so much, because we all know that as champions, we continue to grow as we continue to read, continue to learn. We are students for life. So continue to go forward, just like we are, with reading, learning, and applying it into wisdom. And with that, champions, that wraps up this episode of Champion Reads. If you found inspiration in this, go ahead and subscribe to our podcast, where you can find it on all the major platforms, as well as you can go to our website, mychampionscircle.com, where you'll find the link to our podcast, link to the socials, and everything else going in the Champion Circle universe. Until next time, champions, continue to be awesome, continue to read, and always remember that no matter what other people think about the books, you have your own opinions, and that's just fine. We'll see you on the next episode of Champion Reads.